Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Paranormal Stories. First up we have It Made Me Believe in Ghosts by Not Nelly Yet. I grew up in a tropical part of India, very hot and humid during the summer months. It is both hot and humid here today, so it sets the story quite nicely for me. I was around 21 years old and lived with my parents until I left for higher studies. It was a 2B apartment and had a balcony facing a large tree which always looked spooky at night, but I was never really scared of it since I grew up playing around that tree my entire childhood. The apartment had a master bedroom where my parents slept, and another large room attached to that balcony I mentioned, which was shared by me and my siblings until I moved out. I used to tutor students in the evening to earn some cash for my expenses. One evening I came back from college. Before leaving for the tuition, I decided to take a quick nap. It was a hot summer evening, so I decided to turn the lights off, keep the door and windows open to let some cool breeze in. My mother was in her room, which was on the opposite side of the living room. I decided to lay down on the floor as the cool surface felt relaxing. I was facing the wall. After a few minutes I felt like someone came and slept right next to me and very close to me. But by then, I was almost sleepy and thought maybe my sibling decided to lay down too. I could feel it putting its arm over me and settled down. After some time, my mom called out for me to check if I'm leaving for the tutoring. I turned around to look and there was no one beside me. There was no one in the room. I was all alone in that dark room. I asked my mom if anyone was back home, but she said it's just me and you. I was shocked but didn't mention anything to her. A few months passed by. We got new AC for my parents' room. It was really hot, and everyone decided to sleep together in my parents' room. Set up a mattress on the floor, locked the bedroom door, and dozed off in some time. My parents' room always had a low green light on at night. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, my father turned on all the lights of the room and was searching for something. I'm a light sleeper. I woke up from the noise, asked him what happened. He said Mom saw someone enter the house, probably. We checked all around, but no one was there. The next morning, I asked my mom what happened last night. She mentioned someone was sitting by the end of her bed right next to me and crying. My mom woke up from that crying sound and looked at it. In that green light, she could only see a dark female entity with long hair, head down, sobbing. Assuming it was me, she asked her what happened. The crying stopped. It stood up and went away from the bedroom door toward the living room. Mom thought someone had entered the house and woke my dad up to look for it. Till this day, we don't know who it was, but I always felt a presence which is not human. I'm pretty sure it's the same entity that I encountered during my recent incident. It never hurt us, but was there living with us and not paying rent. There were several other instances where my mom always felt a female entity in her bedroom, and that light sobbing at times, but she just learned to ignore it. Story number 2 is I was saved when almost eaten by a mountain lion by chafing in the heat. I'm female and 23. This is the one story that I have that I'm not quite sure what happened still to this day, whether it was the sixth sense, my guardian angel, or just sheer coincidence. I would love to hear what everybody's ideas are as to what could have possibly happened. This took place in the same town as the other stories I've posted took place in, Orange, Massachusetts. I used to work close to the center of town, not even a 2-minute walk from my house. Usually I worked the day shift, but when this happened, I was covering a third shift for a coworker. I was about 1 minute into my walk, so about halfway there. At this point, I have to cross the street to be on the side of the road where my job was, and also because the sidewalk ended on the other side of the street where I was. The very moment that my foot touched the sidewalk on the other side of the street, I stopped walking. What stopped me from walking was not the fact that the street light I was standing right under was broken, and so was in the middle of pitch darkness. No. What stopped me from walking, instead of seeing pitch darkness like I should have been, all of a sudden it was like my eyes were in a completely different place, and I was looking at what looked like a village of primitive people being attacked by animals that I could not see. and I could hear this visceral, primal, agonizing screaming from the people living in the village as I was watching this happen. This went on for maybe 5 seconds before it stopped just as quickly as it started, and I was right back into the pitch-black darkness. I started looking around, frantically seeing if I could find shadows or outlines of a person lurking in the darkness waiting for me. I was waiting for someone to jump out and try and kidnap me or try to attack me or something. And that's when I remembered that I was covering a shift for a coworker, and there was no way any person would have known that I would be out there at this time of night, and nobody would have known to wait for me either. Once I remembered that I was covering a shift and nobody would know to be waiting out there for me, I started to feel silly and goofy. I even started giggling at myself, and started to mentally make fun of myself for being so paranoid and childishly scared of the dark. So this is when I started to walk again. I took one step, and out of nowhere a truck comes driving round the corner towards me, and the headlights from the truck, as it turns, the corner shines on a mountain lion, not even 10 feet in front of me, crouched down next to the sidewalk facing me. The sound of the truck and the headlights from the truck shining on the mountain lion scared it so badly that it jumped 6 feet into the air, spun around, and ran off into a house's backyard. That truck had just come around the corner and scared the mountain lion off, was pulling into a house that was 2 houses in front of us. I had just seen a mountain lion that was stalking me and waiting for me to walk past it so it could ambush me. And that man in the truck did not see what happened because he got out of his truck, and he was humming to himself and nonchalant. He didn't even notice me. I was literally running backwards, whispering to myself, "Oh, no, oh, shit, oh, no, fuck no." I ended up going into work that night, and the first thing I did was tell my supervisor what just happened to me because I was still shaking, and I could barely talk without stuttering. And that clown really laughed at me and made fun of me, saying mountain lions aren't out here, and it was probably just a bobcat. I don't think it matters what its name was. He then went and started making fun of me to everyone else that was working there, saying I lied about seeing a mountain lion. Quite the charmer. Only for not even 2 weeks later, the plant manager comes into work telling everybody, "Oh my gosh, guys, I believe it now, there was a mountain lion here. I saw one last night driving my car through a town at midnight. I saw one run in front of my car." Didn't happen. And then a week later, both of our towns are posting on the town Facebook pages for everybody to be aware of a mountain lion running through the center of town Main Street in the middle of the night. I'm still salty about that. Imagine almost getting eaten by a mountain lion and then you miraculously survive unscathed, only to have everybody you tell about it make fun of you and insult your intelligence and deny your entire experience until, of course, somebody they actually respect has a similar experience, and now all of a sudden they believe you. I don't believe him. I believe you, I don't believe them. You didn't see a mountain lion. It was a cat named Robert. But yeah, I would love to know or hear anybody's theories on what that was that saved me that night. If that's what having a sixth sense is like, then I guess that makes sense. 6 of them. But I don't think I've ever heard anybody explain it truly, what it feels like to have a sixth sense moment where you can sense a predator around you, even though you can't actually see it. Alrighty, story number 3 is, Am I Becoming Crazy, or Do I Have Poltergeist Activity by Rainbow Cassette. Hi, I'm kinda scared to post this. My native language is Spanish, so if you need more specific detail or if something is not clear, I'll explain it in the comments. Thank you for listening, comments are appreciated. I live in a apartment that was built in the 80s. My grandmother bought it new, when it was just finished. My grandma rented it for some time, but I've not heard that something weird happened. I live with her, my mother, and my uncle, but only I have experienced weird stuff. The only thing connected to spirits is that my grandfather died a lot of years ago, but I wasn't even born, and he did not live here at the time because he got divorced from my grandma. My uncle, the one that I live with, had made a suicide attempt in the apartment. I only mention it because I've heard that strong feelings can cause this activity. But now my uncle is okay, and he's a very happy and positive person. I have experienced things slightly moving in front of my eyes, like my shoes that were already on the ground, or the toothpaste moving when it was sitting still. Feeling that something is touching me, usually in my back. Feeling that some strings of my hair are being pulled. Seeing that those strings of hair are floating. Hearing knocks on the bathroom door while I'm inside the bathroom. Hearing footsteps. That weird feeling of something watching you. Curtains slightly moving. The sound of marbles on my roof. I live in the highest floor of the building, so it's impossible that someone is playing marbles on the roof. Towels moving really hard for the level of wind, almost nothing, with the hanger also moving. We keep them on the kind of hangers you use for clothes. Seen some shadows like shadow people. Feeling that whatever this is, it's trying to communicate with me, and it doesn't like me very much. I thought that I had a haunted doll that maybe was doing that, but I used a pendulum, and it didn't say that it was haunted. Also asked in the subreddit of haunted dolls. I got a lot of responses, and almost everyone was telling me that they felt it was something on the house and not the doll. I really know that this isn't much. I've seen some cases where objects are thrown away with a lot of force, fire starting from nowhere, screams or really loud voices. But I feel strange, and of course the pushing or touching is not something funny or incredible. The thing that is more strong is the weird vibe. The thing usually happens at night, but the vibe is still in the day. I didn't have any weird dreams connected to the home or anything like that, but I think that because I'm a Christian and have some images of Jesus beside my bed and a little charm or a cross, so if there's something trying to joke with me, it just cannot do it there. I don't really know if my family will give me permission to put something related to the bathroom where it's the most vibe, because they do not believe me and just don't care. I'm nervous because lately it's been less frequent but more intense. I don't think that this is trying to harm me, but I also don't feel like I like him, her, them. I don't know if this is my imagination or real, and if it is real, I don't know if it's one or more entities. I don't know a lot of ghosts, and I tend to find more info about poltergeists, but I found only a little bit in Spanish. Any info is appreciated. Thank you for listening. Okay, story number 4. Experiences with My Assistant's Dog, UK, by Rebel Kittens Scary. Assistant's dog experiencing something in a few places. So I went to the Tower of London a few years ago. It was my first time going there, not my first time experiencing places with a heavy presence. That was the first time going to such a place with my assistant's dog, Boyd. And it was an experience. We went to the Bloody Tower, where the two princes, King Edward V and his brother, Richard, the Duke of York, were held by Richard III until they disappeared in 1483. As a bit of background, my assistant's dog is a confident and friendly Labrador who has been travelling all over the UK since he was a puppy. He has also travelled to many museums. He has been to Sweden, and is not prone to anxiety at all. He sounds very cultured. Well, in the Bloody Tower this changed. He suddenly started slinking close to the ground, and his hackles went up. He was hard staring one corner of the room, and this low growl I have never heard from him before just caused his whole body to vibrate. At the same time, I felt so bone-deep cold. It was November, but a mild day, yet I felt cold in a way like I would never be warm again. We didn't stay in that room. Boyd reacted strongly to the spiral stairs that went up as well, that were blocked off to the public, though in a very different way. This time he looked up them and wagged his tail and tried to go up as if to greet someone he knew. I couldn't see, or there are pictures on the OP's profile, by the way, that are very, very adorable and good boy. This time, I couldn't see or hear anyone, but in the stairs the cold energy was gone. After I got Boyd outside, he went back to behaving himself impeccably. He was attentive and calm, and once again focused on being my assistant's dog. Until we were in a certain part of the courtyard, talking to one of the yeomen of the guard. Once again Boyd turned and growled at nothing, hackles up and tail rigid, staring hard at absolutely nothing. We were in the courtyard in the autumn sun, As it happened, there was a gap in the tourists at that moment, so not even a suspicious soul to be seen. The warden we were talking to said that his own dog, whom he walked through the tower at night on his rounds, also refused to walk in that area, and had a strong reaction, as did many of the other guards' dogs. It was well known as a trigger to animals, and the ravens and other birds avoid the area, as do the tower cats. They asked if he had reacted in the bloody tower, and weren't surprised to hear he had. I didn't know which of the many tragedies of the tower Boyd reacted to, but I have no doubt in my mind that he experienced it. The only other place he has reacted like that is Durham Cathedral at the Jacobean Cabinet, which is a survivor from the time that over 1,700 Scottish prisoners of war were killed there from malnutrition and disease in the 1600s. Boyd was fine in the rest of the cathedral, but as we approached that cabinet, he became extremely distressed, and we had to leave. That being said, elsewhere in the cathedral he did wag his tail and sit as if in greeting when there was no one there, and have to be encouraged to move on at one point. This was not long after I entered the cathedral, actually, as in the cloistered walkway and courtyard, a very peaceful area. It was an area that feels warm, welcoming, and gentle, a balm to the soul. Fifth and final story is The Mist That Called the Man by correct reference 6021. Back in the summer of 1995, my family and I moved into a house, outskirts 2 acres of woods. Nice 2-story, dark blue shade that popped out with the greenery all around. My father worked graveyard shifts at this time, so really only saw him after school. I think that's how he convinced my mom to get Bailey, a goofball yellow lab, but my best friend. Now, my mom has been a vet technician for 2 decades at this point, and 100% a cat person. She put up with Bailey, but all in all my responsibility. Though, side note, she did feed a deer that would walk up on the 2nd-story balcony. A few months go by, and everything was normal as each day went. One night I was awoken by Bailey growling and snarling at the door. So I fumbled my glasses, pure coincidence that the last 2 stories feature Labradors are being protective of their humans. So I fumbled my glass and put them on. Only way I can describe what I saw once my eyes focused was a floating mist that took half of the doorway, semi-transparent and hovering there. Being 6 years old, the fear took me, and I cried and screamed for my mom, who came to see what was wrong. Before she turned on the light, though, I peeked. She walked into the mist, and then the light came on and vanished. Scared me so bad I needed a light source for a while, though my fears were placed with the wrong thing. A few weeks go by with no sight of the mist, but Bailey never left my side. Then late in the night, Bailey got off the bed and whined at the door till I woke. Slowly I opened the door, holding her collar. We step out to see my mom standing in the kitchen, just looking at the cabinets. Slow sway as she stood there. I called out to her and got nothing. She panicked. We backed into the room and locked the door. Caught her a few more times here and there throughout the house, and brought it up to my father. Remember playing cards with Dad when she asked him if he was sitting on the foot of the bed they have last night. But Dad was at work, so he was at a loss for what she could have seen. Cut to just after Christmas, and Mom had been still walking around but now opening things. Grabbed some bread and brought it to the counter, so odd but not crazy. Had a bad dream one night and asked if Bailey and I could sleep in her room. After a debate, Bailey went back to my room and I got on the other side of the waterbed. Or Bailey. Was woken by my mom shouting, "What do you want?" I turned to meet her gaze, and there, at the end of the bed, was the shadow of a man, cowboy-style hat, not moving, never spoke. Even as we ran to get out of the house, was still sitting there. Went and stayed at Grandma's house the rest of the night. I hope you took Bailey with you. Next day, Dad took off, so it was a fun and playful morning, right down to a pizza joint nearby. As night rolled in, we all went to bed, and will state I did slightly shut my door, was jolted awake after hearing the door hit the wall, and as I turned in blurry vision, I could tell it was my mom. I called her, no answer or movement, so I put my glasses on. There she stood with a 1,000-yard stare, slightly wobbly, clutching a knife. I sunk into the corner, Bailey by my side as we shake. 10 minutes of her standing. She turns and walks away, before slamming the bedroom door shut. Dad rushed over to the door and couldn't open it. A 250-pound man could not break down that door. A woman no more than 130 just shut it and can't lock. We had to wait for the morning before Mom called out that she was trapped inside. Waiting for her to move 8 picture frames, she shouted that she couldn't move the cedar chest that blocked the door. Dad ended up breaking down the door and just kept asking how she moved it last night but can't tonight. Imagine like an actual pirate chest, full of photos, books, bags, etc. From where it was from the door, that would have been about 15 feet from the door. We moved out 2 days after that. Mom still sleepwalked till I was about 16. Never seen the mist nor the man, but neither do I want to. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. $1 or more a month will get you early access to all the videos at once on Monday. There's also links to my merchandise store over on Teespring, as well as my Discord server, my Threads account, and my email is kingofthecities@gmail.com if you need to contact me. That's everything for now. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Oh, my ear's so itchy. It was all through that outro. Hate it when that happens. Bye-bye.